Thank you for checking out Lakehead International's videos. You're about to watch one of our Lakehead International live webinars, a fun and informative way to learn more about Lakehead while also meeting faculty, staff, and current students. If you have any questions throughout today's video, please comment below. Otherwise, let's get started. And I want to officially welcome you to Lakehead University and give everyone a perspective of Lakehead University, first and foremost on a global scale here. And chat a bit about some of our most proud recognitions and rankings. So for those of you who don't know, Lakehead is actually recognized as one of Canada's top Canadian universities under 10,000 students. That's a recognition by Times Higher Education and their impact rankings. We are also recognized as in the top 100 in the world by their global impact rankings, which tie in directly to the Sustainable Development Goals that the UN published. We're also proud that within Canada, we are considered in not-for-profit research income, the #1 Canadian university in our category. And then looking again on that national front, so across all of Canada, we're proud to be in Canada's top 10 universities for our category, in #1 overall in Ontario in our category, and first in Ontario for student awards, once again in our category. So some very proud rankings and achievements that we've been able to accomplish over the years. And we're always looking forward to exciting new ones coming up soon. So with that being said, some more things about Lakehead University and considering about your future degree here with us. When you receive a degree here at Lakehead University, because we are a public institution, we are actually giving you an Ontario accredited degree. So that means that a degree that you accomplish here at Lakehead or graduate with here at Lakehead University is comparable to other public institutions here in our province. Our province is highly regarded for our education institutions, and so when you're doing your research or weighing your options, you can always keep that one in your back pocket. Considering about who is already at Lakehead, we have over 8,500 students from over 70 nations on campus already, and those students are pursuing different program routes. We have over 85 undergraduate and graduate programs. Beyond the 85 number, we have more minors, specializations, majors, concentrations, double majors, you name it. There is a diverse range of different degrees that you can graduate with, and you can really craft your own degree here. We'll get into that here shortly with our education team. Chatting about those degrees and those courses that students are pursuing, though, we also are very proud of our small class sizes. So we have a student-to-professor ratio of 15:1 on the Thunder Bay campus and 13:1 on our Aurelia campus. What that means is that you'll have stronger connections with your peers, but also your professors, which then help you establish strong relationships with them. And they're able to connect you with potentially career opportunities. We are a research-driven institution, but also an employment-driven institution, which comes back to our next point where we have a very proud employment ranking, which is 97.7% of our grads are employed within 2 years upon graduation. A part of that employment is our hands-on learning and experiential learning opportunities, which includes our cooperative education options, which you can learn more about on our website. So chatting a bit more about academics here at Lakehead University, I wanted to share a bit about some of the areas of studies that you could pursue. So we have our business administration, engineering, science and environmental studies, natural resources management, education, social sciences and humanities, health and behavioral sciences, law, medicine, and graduate studies. That's a quick peek at all of the areas of study, but like I said, today we are focused in on welcoming our guests from the Faculty of Education. We're going to kick it off by introducing two special guests here, Dr. Kerr and Tina Falcigno. So I'll pass it over to Dr. Kerr to introduce himself, and then we'll pass it over to Tina after.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Don Kerr. I'm chair of the Undergraduate Studies program in Thunder Bay at Lakehead University, and we manage both PJ will tell you a little bit about it. We manage both a primary junior and an intermediate senior program here, and we run an intermediate senior program in Aurelia.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And next, we'll pass it over to Tina.
Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Tina. I'm the Undergraduate Programs Administrator here in the Faculty of Education. I support Dr. Kerr with student advising, and I also look after degree audits, and I do the recommendations to the Ontario College of Teachers, and we'll probably get into a little more detail with that later.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us today. I'm excited to learn more about undergraduate education. To start things off on that note, we'll chat a bit about the broader offering of the Faculty of Education. So on the undergrad side, as Don mentioned, we offer both that concurrent education option as well as the consecutive education option. On the grad front, so looking at master's and doctoral programs, we have a Education for Change or an educational studies program. We'll be diving into that with Dr. Sameshima later on in today's presentation, but first and foremost, I want to give you a broad overview of the Faculty of Education. So our faculty is quite unique and innovative in terms of faculties that work to prepare prospective students to develop the ability to become perhaps professional educators or to even create a novel knowledge through their research. And then, of course, by collaborating with our committed faculty, you'll have the opportunity to begin a rewarding career, potentially as a teacher, to advance your professional abilities, to add additional qualification to your teaching certificate, or to explore education through original research, which of course is a very exciting aspect. And once again, bringing up what I noted earlier in our presentation, allows you to craft and customize your degree based on where you're passionate about. So with that being said, folks, I think it's time to actually dive into the undergraduate program offerings and the professional program offerings. So I'll pass it over to our special guest to do the same.
So as Jordan mentioned, we have concurrent and consecutive programs. So a concurrent program is where you register for two programs at once. One would be your B.Ed and one would be your other, what we term your partner degree. So that could be your B.A. in English or your B.Sc in math or whatever your partner degree is. So a concurrent stream is usually 6 years in total. The first 4 years, you would spend most of the time doing your partner degree. So you would spend most of your studies in your other area of study. And then the last 2 years of your concurrent program would be what we call our professional program. A consecutive program is where you already have that other undergraduate qualification, and you apply to do just the straight professional program. So that's a 2-year B.Ed degree, and that qualifies you to be a teacher in the province of Ontario.
Awesome. I'll jump in here and add to this as well. So to simplify it for our audience, you're going to have an undergrad in perhaps sciences, perhaps a social sciences and humanities program that then will also be concurrently studied if you're pursuing one of our current concurrent education programs with our teachers education courses. So they'll be interwoven throughout your first 4 years. And as Don mentioned, in those final 2 years of your program, that's where you're going to pretty intensely pursue that professional program, the 2-year Bachelor of Education. Consecutive is where you are already graduating from a different bachelor's. So perhaps you're coming to Lakehead with a bachelor's from a different institution. Perhaps you're graduating Lakehead yourself, and now you've realized that education is a route, and becoming a teacher is something that you perhaps would like to pursue. So at that point, you can certainly join our program, and you're on the road to become a certified teacher here in Ontario. On that note, Don, you mentioned that we have a primary junior offering in Thunder Bay as well as an intermediate senior offering at both of our campuses. So I'm going to pass it back over to the two of you to chat more about primary junior.
So we do offer primary junior programs on both campuses. In Ontario, primary junior is from kindergarten to grade 6, or from about age 5 to about age 11. You're qualified in Ontario to teach in that range. You spend the 2 years of your program studying curriculum areas, learning how to teach students, young people to read and write, learning how to teach math, and then all the other curriculum areas as well, social studies, science, and so on. Part of our program is a focus on making sure that all of our teachers, because as a PJ teacher in Ontario, you have to teach all the subjects. So all of our teachers are skilled at teaching math. So we have an incoming math competency test. So this is a diagnostic test for you to get a sense for yourself of how strong you are in math. And for those students whose math is not as strong as it needs to be to go out into the classroom and teach, we offer classes to support your acquisition of more math knowledge. So we do a lot of work to support our students in developing their ability in math and their ability to teach math. And it starts off with a math competency test where people start. You are required to get 70% on the math competency test. So if students don't get that at the start, We provide the supports, and then you rewrite the test at the end of your first year. We also have what we call our POD program here in Thunder Bay. If you take the primary junior program in Thunder Bay, we have our POD program. And our POD program, I think, is a fantastic opportunity. We place you for 1 day a week for your classes in one of our local elementary schools. Can you go to the next slide, Jordan?
For sure.
So we have partnerships with several of the elementary schools in the area, and we place you for a day of your classes. So you're actually doing your university coursework in the elementary school, but you're there and involved in the life of the school. Your instructor probably works with the principal or other teachers in the school. And then you also go out into the classrooms and do things like literacy coaching or numeracy coaching as well. So you focus on learning things like classroom management in your pod, but you also learn either teaching math or teaching literacy skills as well. So you spend a day a week with your pod group. So it's a tight cohort of 20 plus students who you work closely with, and you learn about the life in an elementary school. And that's for the first year of your professional program.
I'm going to jump in here and just comment on this because I think it's a really great way to help prepare our graduates to enter the classroom and be a bit more familiar with that environment. Of course, coming from a university atmosphere, it's a very different approach than being in a school filled with kindergartens through grade 6. And so I can imagine that these students are naturally passionate to work with children, but don't necessarily know what they're getting themselves into, perhaps. And so this helps introduce that. And as you noted, also allows them to start to gain some actual skills that they'll be able to apply within the classroom, whether it's that classroom management piece, whether it's just overall how to conduct yourself in a professional environment with children around. I think that I would not be built for this one for sure. I think that I would probably be sitting in the class a bit overwhelmed, thinking, oh gosh, what do I do next? So I'm excited to hear that, of course, our own students get to pursue this opportunity and to familiarize themselves with the environment.
And even for those students who come in more familiar with the what an elementary school would look like, or they're not as far away from schooling, their own schooling experience as some of the rest of us, looking at the school environment through a teacher's lens is very different. And you start to get a sense of some of the things that are going on and how teachers are thinking as they're arranging their classroom or making plans, how the administrator organizes the school and why. So there's much more going on that you start to get a sense of that you don't necessarily see, say, as a parent taking your child into school.
Awesome. So shifting gears here just a bit to chat more about the intermediate senior offering here in Ontario. I'll pass back to you to discuss further.
Well, if the little students in the elementary environment aren't for you, we also have the intermediate senior grades, which is grade 7 to 12. And of course, this is different because here we have our teacher candidates that must specialize in 2 different teachable subjects. The first teachable, you would need 5 FCEs, and that's a full course equivalent, or basically about 10 credits in a subject area. And then for your second teachable, it's 3 FCEs. And when you're trying to decide what you want to teach at the high school level, we always suggest make sure you pick courses that you love, because you will be teaching these on a daily basis, probably for almost 20 years. So make sure that you pick a course or a program or a subject that you really enjoy. More and more and more, we are offering teachables in Aurelia. And thank you, Jordan. Here are the teachables that are available at Lakehead University. These ones are available in Thunder Bay. And then there are specific ones also available in Aurelia, geography, English, history, and social science right now. And I think what we try to do, we'll get into placement a little bit later, I believe, but what we'd like to do with our intermediate senior teacher candidates is make sure that they have experience in the 7 and 8 environment, as well as the high school environment.
Awesome. I'm going to jump in here, and I know that we've discussed this on previous webinars even. The combination of your teachables may not always work, perhaps. There's going to be some restrictions that may apply, so you can't necessarily combine two of the same teachables together. But when you do arrive here on campus, that's your opportunity to sit down with our faculty of education. This is what they love doing each and every day, is supporting the students and making sure that they're going to be passionate and excited about their teachables, but also be successful in the program. And so they are obviously going to support you in pursuing your passions, and through that selecting teachables that are applicable in your case. And so to build on that, also I wanted to say is that like Tina mentioned, these are going to be the teachables and the subject matters that you're going to be teaching and delivering for the next several years in your teacher education career. And so picking something not necessarily based on someone else's opinion, or not necessarily based on what you think is going to be in demand, but picking something that you are truly going to be excited about teaching. Because we want to see that both in a successful career, but also in a successful student. Because if you're not passionate about the stuff you're learning, if you're not passionate about the topics that you're trying to gain throughout your undergraduate degree, you may not be getting the satisfactory marks that you are once hoping for. So that's always something I like to reinforce and remind our students. You should be crafting your Lakehead degree to how you want to see it, see that outcome. So
George,
yeah.
if I could also add that starting in September 2023, we will have 5 STEM teachables also available in Aurelia, and those are math, environmental science, science general, and biology and chemistry.
Awesome. That's very exciting for our Aurelia students as well. Something to remind our viewers once again, whether you're joining us on the Thunder Bay campus or the Aurelia campus, we have those same supports available to you. So accessing them and determining what is available to you. You can also consult our website. We do our best to keep it up to date so that you can properly plan and prepare for your own degree. Chatting about another unique opportunity, and I know this ties into sort of that hands-on learning experience. I'm going to pass back to Don and Tina to share more about what makes the placement opportunities an exciting one at that, but also why is it so fruitful in terms of adding on to your educational experience here at Lakehead.
Here at Lakehead University, you need 105 days of placement. And basically, the way it's organized is you do 9 weeks of classes and then 4 to 5 weeks of placement in one term, and then again in the other term. We do our best to place students in the schools that they want to be in. A placement preference form is sent out to our teacher candidates, and they fill it out. And then from there, we start matching students with the schools and students with the associate teachers. It's a wonderful experience, and I think, the teachers that we have, our associate teachers, are wonderful mentors, and they provide a very fulfilling experience for our teacher candidates. One of the requirements for the placements that I need to mention is the police record check. It's really important that our teacher candidates have this before they start their placements. And we ask our teacher candidates to start the application process for the police record check in June. And it only lasts for 6 months. So you have to renew it every year. And then, of course, we have our alternative and our international placements, which I think Dr. Kerr is going to talk about.
Awesome. Before we shift gears to chat about the unique international placements, I want to touch on that police record check for students that are entering the first year of their concurrent education. If they're in the primary junior route, should they be getting that police record check sooner than later, given that they would be in PPOD, if I understand that correctly? Or should they be waiting until their 5th year of the education program when they're entering the professional program?
The PPOD program is the first year of the professional program.
Right.
So the 5th year of a concurrent program. And you're right, the student is going to need the PRC, the police record check, to start in September, because they'll be spending a day a week in an elementary school. And that principal is going to require that everyone has the police record check before they come in and spend time in the school. So elementary students, PJ students, are going to need that before the beginning of September.
And so just to remind our audience once again, if you are considering that consecutive education program where you're going to be doing 2 years with us here at Lakehead University, you're going to want to start the police record check sooner than later. if you're joining a concurrent program, so if you're joining from high school perhaps, and this is your first bachelor's degree, you have several years to get that and secure that. And then you'll be on campus, you'll be a bit more familiar. And of course, like I noted, and I'll continue to note, you'll have access to the amazing supports within Faculty of Ed to help you secure that. So I will pass back over to Don to chat more about some of our international teaching placement opportunities.
So as Tina said, placement is over 4 placement blocks totaling 105 days. And so the first 3 of those blocks add up to 80 days, and that's the minimum requirement to be certified in Ontario. If those first 3 blocks or first 80 days have gone really well, you also have the opportunity to do an alternative placement for your 4th block. So you might choose to go back into a regular classroom and continue to train and improve your craft as a teacher. Or you might say, you know, I would really like to try something a little bit different or a different teaching opportunity or context. And we have a range of kinds of alternative placements that students might choose. You might choose an environmental education center or a special needs classroom, different kinds of learning contexts. One of the alternative placements that we offer each year is the opportunity to do international placements. And so we work hard to place students here. You see students in China. We've placed students all around the world. Certainly Britain is popular. We have students right now in Australia. We've had students in the Caribbean. So we place students in a variety of places around the world. We would reach out to you in the fall of your final year with us and ask you, are you interested in doing an international placement? And then if you're successful in your 3rd placement before then, we would then look to place you in one of our opportunities. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Many of our students, of course, after they graduate, will go on and teach around the world anyway. So this is a good stepping stone toward that. And if they come back to Canada, then they bring a variety of rich international experiences with them too.
I mean, I can't speak from experience, but I did have a teacher that actually did sort of what you're discussing, Don, is they did a swap with an Australian teacher, and then he came back and happened to have me in the first year back in Canada. And he had some amazing stories to share at the time, but also he brought back some really incredible games and exciting different ways of teaching, essentially, and how we might, as a student body, pick up the education a bit better. And so it was very interesting. And for our future students that are considering teaching and potentially an international placement, you perhaps could go to your home country and get a taste for what it's like to be a teacher in home country, or go elsewhere around the world and gain that rich educational experience and that interdisciplinary approach to how different organizations come to the idea of teaching. So that is a quick overview of undergraduate studies here within the Faculty of Education. Next, I have the pleasure of welcoming our guests for our graduate studies session. Alrighty, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Sameshima, who will be chatting more about graduate studies within the Faculty of Education. With that being said, it's time to pass it over to her to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our session. I am Pauline Sameshima. I'm a professor and currently acting chair of Graduate Studies and Research in Education. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Journal of the Canadian Association for Curriculum Studies, and I curate the Lakehead Education Research Galleries. And as well, I'm a college member of the Royal Society of Canada. Welcome.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. I'm really excited for today's session and for our audience to learn more about grad studies here at Lakehead University. So on that note, I'm going to pass it back to you to dive right into some of the master's and doctoral programs that we offer within the Faculty of Education.
Well, I'd love to share with you some of the programs that we offer. We have a master's program and a doctoral program. As you can see on the slide, we've got Education for Change, which is one of our programs, and Educational Studies is the other program. Within the Education for Change program, we've got specializations in environmental and sustainability education, Indigenous education, and social justice education. And then in educational studies, we've got optional specializations in gerontology and gender and women's studies. We've got a fantastic doctoral program that is a joint PhD program. And in our program, we have fields of study that you can study within in cognition and learning, social, cultural, political context, or leadership and policy studies.
Awesome. Thank you. So next, we're actually going to dive a bit deeper and get a glance at the degrees. So we're going to focus in on our master's programs today. And so I'll pass back over to you to kick things off with our Education for Change Masters.
For the Education for Change Master's program, you will need a 5.0 full credit equivalence. Our program offers half credit equivalence, so that could mean that you're taking 10 classes. So for example, in our program, you would need to take the compulsory courses, which include either researching in education, which is Education 5010, or researching in Education for Change, which is Education 5011. And then you'll need to take one of the following, which are our research courses, either quantitative or qualitative research in education, or research in professional contexts, Indigenous research approaches, or arts integrated research approaches. And those are our core or compulsory courses. The following course routes are possibilities for your master's. You can either take a course route, or portfolio route, or the thesis route. When you're in course route, you'll take predominantly courses, and usually it ends up being 10 courses that you will take to fulfill your 5 FCEs. In portfolio, for portfolio, people sometimes do smaller projects that, and you'll speak to your supervisor, that create the portfolio. So a portfolio is a collection of items. And then for the thesis is a research project, and you'll be writing at least a 100-page thesis for your thesis route.
And then, as noted here on the slides, for all 3 of these routes, of course, they're going to dive a bit further into their specializations. And I know you noted at the beginning there's the 3 specializations. So we're going to take a peek over here at some of those sample courses. I know as we discussed earlier today that these courses are a sample of what Lakehead offers. It's not every semester that you're going to see all of these courses available, but it will allow you flexibility to curate and craft your own degree accordingly. So I'll pass over to Dr. Sameshima to dive into this maybe a bit further, and then we'll chat a bit about our other programs as well.
Our program has quite a number of really exciting courses that you can select from for your specializations. And as well, even if you're specializing in a particular area, you have the option of designing your program so you can take other courses that are in the other areas of interest that you have.
So for those of you who are a bit more curious about what these different specializations entails, I have some quick definitions for those. For our environmental sustainability education, it focuses on the theory, research, and practices that analyze the cultural and ecological politics of sustainability and foster mutually flourishing relationships between humanity and the natural world. And for Indigenous education, it's actually grounded in Indigenous historical, philosophical, and socio-cultural, as well as political foundations, and Indigenous research protocols and practices. And for social justice education, it focuses on the theory, research, and practices that analyze and address social forces both in and out of schools that perpetuate injustice and oppression. So those are some quick overviews of our specializations. Next, we're going to change gears here, and we're going to chat a bit about educational studies. So I'll pass it back to Dr. Sameshima.
Great. So in educational studies, another focus that you can take, again, like our other focus, you need a compulsory course, either Education 5010 or Education 5011. And again, you also need one of the research courses, either in quantitative, educational research in professional contexts, Indigenous research approaches, or arts integrated research approaches. In the educational studies program, you have many electives to select from, and it will be through consultation with your supervisor that you can really design a very personalized program of interest. If you plan to take a course route, you'll be taking 8 half courses. In portfolio route, you'll be taking 6 half courses because your master's portfolio counts for a 1.0 FCE. And then in thesis route, you'll be taking 4 half courses because your master's thesis counts for 2.0 FCE.
And so I know we discussed quite a bit about graduate research within Masters of Education. So I'll pass it over to you to introduce this, and then I'm going to chat a bit more about why our students are interested in research and sort of what they'll be pursuing in the same breath of air.
So Lakehead University's Department of Graduate Studies and Research in Education provides you with the knowledge, skills, and opportunities to be a leader in educational research, theory, and practice. As part of the Faculty of Education, we offer unique learning experiences which help you to fulfill your professional and academic goals while addressing the needs of learners, the community, and environment. Our programs allow you to examine and contribute to educational research, as well as develop your own knowledge and practical skills to improve your teaching.
Awesome, thank you. And to add on to that, sort of, you may be asking yourself, what will students actually be pursuing in their research within graduate studies? So you'll learn how to apply educational theories and practices in a variety of learning environments to improve your own teaching effectiveness. You'll also learn the skills to appreciate and apply various pedagogical practices in order to teach different learners well. You'll develop an understanding of research methodologies and practices as they relate to educational scholarship and improving teacher effectiveness. You'll have the capacity to collaborate with others and develop culture of research and professional development by performing research and completing courses, as well as working with experts in our program and within our faculty to help you increase your own theoretical knowledge and professional abilities. So that's a quick overview of graduate studies within education here at Lakehead University. It's been my pleasure to host Dr. Sameshima, and I want to thank her for sharing more. And to our audience members, I hope you're able to get excited about your incoming program here at Lakehead University. We're going to take this opportunity now to head over into a different section, and we're going to actually look at career opportunities and then some outstanding alumni within education at Lakehead. Looking ahead to the future, you may already be asking yourself, where can I go with my Lakehead degree? So when you pursue a program within the Faculty of Education, oftentimes we see our students and our graduates move into careers such as being a teacher, perhaps a principal, and then beyond that, a director of education, but also some other career paths that aren't so traditional in terms of for our undergrad students that are pursuing the concurrent or the consecutive education and becoming a certified teacher here in Ontario. You could also be pursuing jobs such as a tutor or a second language teacher, perhaps a writer or a training and development specialist, a school counselor, library technician, grant writer, athletics director, youth worker, curriculum developer, community development officer. There's quite a range of opportunities, of course. By no means is this an exhaustive list of careers that our past graduates have gone into or where your education might take you one day. And that's sort of what we discussed in today's session about the beauty of crafting your own educational experience here at Lakehead University. Before we wrap things up here, folks, I want to share one final touch point here, and this is one of our graduates from the Masters of Education program. And when we asked to learn more about her Lakehead experience, she shared with us that, of course, she wanted to upgrade her education. She had been a teacher for quite some time, and when she chose Lakehead, she was excited with the fact that it was going to be able to provide her with a high standard of education, yet be affordable in terms of both academic and living costs here in Thunder Bay. She also reflected on the class sizes and the ability to connect with peers and professor and build a strong bond with those classmates. And then just in general reflecting, she said that Lakehead had provided her with a great experience in a high-class education. So this is just one of our outstanding alumni. If you want to learn more or hear more from our students, you can always head over to our website, lakeheadu.ca/international. Next, we're going to dive into our question and answer period. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, I want to encourage you to comment below or connect with us on social media. We can be found at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching once again, and hopefully we'll see you at the next live webinar. Bye for now.